What's going on, guys? It's Sam Doubtful here, back again with another YouTube video. In today's YouTube video, I'm going to talk about some tips on how to improve in each role in Marvel Rivals rank play. Now, I always say this at the beginning of every single video. I just want to say again that I'm not the best Marvel Rivals player by any means. I'm currently Grandmaster 3 at the time of making this video, and I just want to share some tips that I've learned on my rank play grind that help me improve with each role. So without further ado, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get straight into the video. Alright, so the first role is going to be the DPS role, and the first tip is going to be don't deal meaningless damage. Now, you might want to brace yourself for this, but the amount of damage that you have as a DPS doesn't matter if you're shooting the wrong people. Now, what do I mean by this? This means that in a normal 6v6 fight, if you're only shooting the tanks over and over and over again, you're not doing the correct damage. You're in fact just feeding the other healers their ults because you'll never deal enough damage to kill them in the first place. Now, am I saying never shoot the tanks as a DPS? Of course not. In fact, if you're a tank buster like Wolverine or Iron Fist, then of course you should be focusing the tanks in the first place. But just dealing damage to a tank won't do anything, especially if you're only shooting the tank. You need to be directing your damage to the people that you can kill, because you can have a low damage output but a lot of final blows, which in turn will be a better sort of benchmark to know whether you did good or not on a map. You need to do damage in the right place. You need to get kills instead of just dealing damage. If you have over 30k damage, let's say, and only like 3 final blows, that means that you were just feeding heals to the other team and just feeding the healer ults. You weren't dealing the correct damage. Now, guys, in order to do this, you need to have a priority system in place for who you need to kill first on the other team. And that leads me into tip number 2, which is prioritize the right targets. Now, I learned this from Marvel Rivals content creator and coach Shadi. He makes really good tips and tricks videos like me. In fact, he's honestly way better than me and more popular. Make sure to go check him out. But he talks about in more detail in the video that I'm gonna put in the description down below, and also make sure to check him out. You know, he posts a lot of good videos just like mine. Go ahead and check him out if you haven't already. But he talks about the priority level in which you need to kill the other 6 players on the enemy team. The priority level goes like this: opportunistic, then healers, then DPS, then tanks. Now, what he means by this is anyone that you see out of position, weak, or just someone that needs to be dealt with before you can make any sort of move on the map. Some examples of this would be certain flying characters. For example, if you have a Storm on the other team and they're just not letting you move, making you one-shot every single time you take a step, now you have to prioritize her until she's dead, because if you don't, then you really can't do anything on the map. You're just going to be stuck on your heals, your tanks aren't going to be able to move, your healers aren't going to be able to move, you're not going to be able to move, and you're just going to be one shot, and you won't be able to move around the map at all. You have to prioritize the opportunistic kills. If someone is weak and you can kill them by team shotting, you need to do it before you focus on anything else. You always have to be looking out for who you're able to kill at any given moment. Like I said before, take final blows over damage. Always make sure that you have enough final blows before you just look at your damage. Alright, guys, we're going to move over to the tank role, and the first tip for tanks is don't play timid. Now, I made a whole YouTube video about how to improve playing Vanguards previously, and make sure to check that out after this video. I go more in depth with all of the tips I'm going to say, but with this tip, I talked about not playing timid as a tank, and it's true still. You have the most health in the entire game. You cannot play scared. You need to walk with your team. You're the catalyst of your entire team. If you keep playing back and the other team will just keep you on your heels, you won't be able to move or do anything. You need to play aggressive and make those calculated risks to move forward with your team. Don't worry, if your healers are doing their job, you will stay alive, but you need to push the enemy tanks and the enemy team back. That's your entire job. If your shield goes down, don't instantly run back. You have a lot of health as a Magneto, as a Groot, or even a Doctor Strange. Just stay up, push forward, try and stay alive as long as you can until your shield gets backed up, because your healers are supposed to be healing you in the first place. Speaking of pushing them back, this is tip number 2. You need to learn about taking up space on the map. Now, as a tank, one of the most important things you need to do every single game is to take up as much space on the map as you can. As a tank, you have the best chance at being aggressive and creating space on the map for your team to move around. Always, 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 as a tank, remember to take space. The more room you have on the map to fight and move around, the more you have a chance to push the enemy team back, and the more space offers your DPS more room to hit a flank or your dives to actually dive. This also gives your healers more room to evade the enemy dives as well. The more space is always better. So please, always, always, always take space and be aggressive. Alright guys, that's it for tanks. Now we're going to move over to the healers with tip number 1, be dynamic. Don't always heal just what's in front of you. Now I know all about line of sight, and I know that it's very important, and I will make a future video on how to always stay in the line of sight for all roles. But if you're a support, and let's say you have a dive DPS and a flying DPS on your team, you can't always heal what's in front of you. You need to look around and keep track of where your teammates are on the map. The best healers in the world know that every so often they need to look up, around, or even behind them to see where their teammates are. Learn how to prioritize your heals. If for just a second you see everyone in front of you is full health, look around. See if your flying DPS is one shot above you. Always try your best to be dynamic and not just heal what's in front of you, in front of the entire fight. You need to be looking around and making sure that all of your teammates are getting healed. Now tip number 2 for healers is going to be make sure you always have at least one defensive ult. Now, what is a defensive ult? A defensive ult is something like a Cloak or a Luna or a Mantis or an Invisible Woman. Just a defensive ult that will keep you basically invincible for just a few seconds to negate any sort of DPS ult or any tank ult at all. I can't tell you how many times I see healers go a Loki who only picks DPS ults and a rocket. For one, both of those healers do not deal enough healing to have both of them on your team, unless you really know how to play both of them. Always make sure to have at least one Luna, Cloak, Invisible Woman, or a Mantis or an Atom on your team, like I said before. Having a strong defensive ult like Cloak or Luna will help stop a lot of ults in the game and will help you win so many gunfights. Even though the triple support meta isn't as strong as it was before, these healer defensive ults are still very crucial to have on any team. So make sure you have at least one of these characters on your team at all times. Alright guys, that's going to be it for me with all the tips on how to improve in each role in Marvel Rivals Ranked. As always guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for around, I think we're at like 340 something subscribers by the time of making this video. You guys have been absolutely killing it on all of the YouTube videos recently, on all of the YouTube shorts. As always guys, I go live every single Friday through Monday, tweet out every single time I go live, so make sure to follow me on all of my social media down below. If you guys want to just pop into my stream next time, just ask a question, hang out, I got a vibey stream, make sure to check me out. And like I said before guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.